presented by Beaver County Auto. It is the Bucco Show here on Pittsburgh Sports Live. New background, new wardrobe. Thanks for those who suggested the changes. Definitely listened. Now let's get into the show. Pirates not looking as great as I am here in this Hawaiian shirt. Now a season low, 5 games under 500 as they enter competition here on Tuesday against the Atlanta Braves. A tough break with Joe Musgrove's early ejection might have been the death blow to the Pirates season already this year. We take a look at where they're at as far as the standings, fighting to remain not in last place in the National League Central and well out of the wild card. All signs point right now to the Pirates being sellers. And I'm not talking about sellers in July. I'm not talking about being sellers on the final day of the deadline. I'm saying the Pirates right now, reports are saying, they're already looking into being sellers, getting rid of some of the pieces that won't be around for next year's club. And it makes sense. Last year, they were in a similar position. They were struggling to win games in late May, early June. The club fell into a hole. The GM said they needed to step up, and while they did, the trades they made, in hindsight, probably weren't the best moves, considering they gave away a top 10 prospect to Texas for a reliever who's only pitched 30 games since coming here on July 31st, and the Chris Archer deal, which we've talked about plenty already in this city. No need to get further into that one. Do you want to make the same mistake twice if you're Neil Huntington? You look around, you look at this team, 60% of the starting rotation's hurt. A lot of your key relievers are either underperforming or hurt. And while you're getting good performances offensively from Josh Bell, from Kevin Newman, from Brian Reynolds, you've got Brian Hayes knocking on the door, you've got Mitch Keller knocking on the door. You've got a lot of positive things to make you really believe, not just try to convince your fans, but really believe that 2020 could be the year this team actually gets back to being somewhat of a contender. Why not start to build for that now by trading one of your biggest assets, not only that you have, but pretty much the biggest wealth of outfield in the entire National League market when you're looking for trades? I think they have 5 outfielders that pretty much every team in baseball looking to compete for a division, for a pennant, for a World Series would love to have on their lineup, either as a starter or as a backup. And while I would assume they wouldn't look to trade Brian Reynolds, I didn't think they'd trade Austin Meadows last year, and that happened. However, we're going to leave Reynolds out here. I'm going to talk about why they should look into trading their outfield pieces and what we could expect to get back for them. You're going to want to deal one of these outfielders to a team that's all in, looking to win a championship. What team is notoriously known for mortgaging its future to win now, more than the Philadelphia Phillies? They did it at the turn of the last decade, around 08, 09, 2010, where they were selling pretty much everything in order to get those championships. They won one over the Tampa Bay Rays, and then of course lost the next one to the New York Yankees, and they've been all in recently, making the big signings of Bryce Harper, Andrew McCutchen, going and acquiring other guys like JT Realmuto, Gene Segura. They're a pretty deep team. However, one thing they're not deep with is outfielders. As I mentioned before, the newly acquired Andrew McCutchen was doing well for the Phillies until, of course, he tore his ACL, and he's out for the year. That's even a bigger blow considering that not too earlier in the season, they lost Odubel Herrera for an undisclosed amount of time due to off-the-field problems. So with 2 of their 3 outfielders that started for them on opening day out for a long time, and Bryce Harper, the million-dollar man, the lots of million-dollar man, underperforming that major contract that he signed, they're going to need some help. They've already added Jay Bruce, a power bat. He's got 18, 19 home runs already this season, but they're going to need improvements to that outfield defense. Harper certainly isn't a Gold Glove winner anymore, and Jay Bruce is definitely not a field specimen. They've got Scott Kingery, who's a utility guy, a young guy, but that's not someone you want in your everyday lineup as an outfielder, especially as your third outfielder on a team that's trying to win a World Series. The Pirates have 4 outfielders, 5 of you include Reynolds, but I said we're not including him. That would make for a great fit on the Philadelphia Phillies. There's been reports by MLBTradeRumors.com that have already suggested that teams are actively pursuing Melky Cabrera, but the Pirates would prefer to get rid of Corey Dickerson. I would imagine that both of these guys, if the Pirates hold true to what they said they would do last year if the club didn't improve, and if they continue to struggle this year, which all indications show that they will, I think both of them get dealt. I think both of them would have a very good spot. They'd have a very good fit in Philadelphia. I think the easier one to sell would be Melky Cabrera, even though the club doesn't want to get rid of him. You look at Melky altogether, and he's perfect for really any team looking to compete for a deep playoff run. He's a switch hitter, veteran guy. He's been on some deep playoff runs. I believe he's won a World Series with New York. A lot of experience, and he's hitting the ball really, really well right now. He has no problem coming off the bench, but he can be that starter in those September games when you're looking to get some guys rest. Someone goes down on a play in the postseason, you're comfortable with Melky starting in right field. I know I just said the Phillies need someone who can help them defensively. Melky doesn't really provide that, but he is the cheapest out of their options, I would believe. What we could get from Melky Cabrera, if I was looking through, I have a couple names that I looked at within the Phillies minor league system, some guys, and there were three that really stood out to me. The first one that I think would be the most reasonable to ask for if you're looking to trade Melky Cabrera would be Cole Irvin. Cole Irvin, he is the number 16 overall prospect, which when you hear that originally, it's not that exciting. You know, this is a team that some people believe get fleeced in trades from time to time, and it's tough to kind of ask for a lot when you're coming from a beggar's perspective, a seller's perspective. Teams are going to try to sell low on you or try to buy low on you, try to get a bargain. But I think Cole Irvin would be a fair price to ask for, considering what the Phillies' struggles are, which is pitching as well, not necessarily with the starting rotation, but with the bullpen. And their rotation's not necessarily the youngest in baseball. Cole Irvin provides that. He is a 25-year-old, like I said, number 16 overall prospect in the Phillies organization. A left-handed pitcher, something the Pirates certainly need more of, and he's major league ready. So this is a guy on his rookie contract that while it would be tough to just trade Melky Cabrera, some would probably want more, maybe two players, maybe someone with a little bit more of a reputation or more promise. But this is a guy in Cole Irvin, a 25-year-old who is major league ready. He's 2-1 with a 5.48 ERA in 4 outings, including 3 starts this year for the Phils. 21 and a third of innings pitched. But he's someone that is a better option, I believe, than what the Pirates really are using right now in their bullpen. I think this is a guy that most fans, even with the resume that I just read, would be willing to give a chance over other pitchers such as Jeff Hartlieb, such as Montana DeRapo. I could keep going and going. But this is a guy comes here, and not only does he help the team this year, you lose Melky Cabrera, but you still have 4 really good outfielders, so you're not really losing too much off your team. He adds depth to your bullpen, is a starter option for this season if the injuries continue in the rotation. Plus, this is someone that the Pirates will always have in their back pocket for years to come. I think that this club in 2020 has a lot of promise. If the offensive output can continue and the starting pitching can remain healthy, I think you make some additions to that bullpen. 2 of them are going to be internal when Santana and possibly Chad Kuhl will both be added back to that bullpen after they recover from their Tommy John surgery, maybe even Nick Birdie. Who knows? So you have that coming back. I think you could add in a left-handed guy like Cole Irvin. He could be your next man up type player, essentially adding another Steven Brault, maybe someone even a little better than Steven Brault. If you can develop him the right way. Like I said, only 25 years old, and while it's not much to get excited over, it's certainly not the sexy return you hear some teams land when they get rid of a producing MLB notable player. This is somebody that can help you now, he can help you later, he provides a useful need, and he provides probably the biggest useful need, which is depth. This is somebody that will be waiting and ready whenever you need him, and I just don't see what would be wrong with this type of return for a guy who signed on a non-roster invite to spring training. I mean, not many people, myself included, expected Melky to even be with the Pirates to this point in the season. So why not try to deal him for something now? If they could get more, that's great. But if you're looking to make a deal right now, I think Cole Irvin, while the Phillies certainly do like this guy, they're confident enough to put him in their starting rotation when they're clearly all in going for a World Series. They certainly see promise in this guy. If they see promise in someone I think the Pirates should also see promise in them. I think that'd be a fair deal to make. The second outfielder, the one they're looking to get rid of a little bit more, as reports said, is Corey Dickerson. Dickerson, a guy that, if it weren't for that injury, would be probably the most attractive trade candidate right now in baseball. Last season, wins the Gold Glove out in left field, hits 300. Going into a contract season, there are high expectations for Corey Dickerson this year. However, he gets hurt in the first week of the regular season, and he's coming back now. It's going to be difficult for him to really wow teams and up his value because, like I mentioned before, he's competing for playing time with 4 other guys. But the Pirates can try to sell him on his resume. I mean, this is a guy who not too long ago was one of the better outfielders in baseball in both aspects of the game, and prior to his year in Pittsburgh in 2018, he had a little bit of pop in his bat as well. So you could sell him as a DH, which he has experience with. You could sell him as a good fielder, which I said the Phillies need. And you could sell him as a top-of-the-lineup type of bat or a middle. I mean, you can really do whatever you want with him. He's a very versatile guy, hustles, runs the base as well, good veteran leader. I think a lot of teams would be excited to have him if he can prove that he's healthy, which the Pirates need to do by playing him as much as possible without stunning the production of Starling Marte and Brian Reynolds, who are currently their 2 best hitters on the team. I think if you're dealing Dickerson, you're certainly not just going to settle for Cole Irvin. I think that Irvin still would be a nice addition to the club, but you could do a little bit more if you're the Pirates, getting rid of Dickerson just because he's a little bit younger. While they'd be excited to get the remainder of Dickerson's contract off their books, I think he's a little bit more talented, and that's just the sales pitch Huntington's going to have to try to make. I think if they're going to Philly now, again, this is a Pittsburgh Philly inside state trading here, folks. If you're looking to trade Dickerson to Philly, I think the main guy you're looking back for would be a top 10 prospect, number 10 in their organization right now, Ranger Suarez. Ranger Suarez is a guy that has not pitched in the major leagues this season for Philly. However, he made some appearances last year for the Phils. Not too many, though. Just in September, just 1-1 with a 5.40 ERA. However, he's only 23 years old. Another left-hander, number 10 prospect in the organization. You're not going to expect Philly to sell a top 2, top 3, even top 5 prospect, or multiple guys for that matter, for a guy like Dickerson. Like I said, his value is at an all-time low right now. But if you're looking to get rid of him quick, you can get a guy like Ranger Suarez who, A, adds depth, just like Cole Irvin essentially, but better, adds depth, is younger, and can help you moving forward. Still on his rookie deal, he can help you in the bullpen this season, he can help you as a starter this season, and he's an option for 5 more years at least of club control, so he can help you moving forward to be that guy waiting around. That way you don't have to try to start Michael Feliz on a couple hours notice against the Dodgers when everyone's hurt this season, or you're not scrambling to go with rookie Davis. Maybe you don't have to go with Alex McRae when your pitcher gets thrown out 2 outs into the ball game. That kind of depth sounds pretty nice right now, if you're asking me. I think Ranger Suarez and maybe even Cole Irvin also. Or I don't know if they'd be willing to trade 2 young AAA arms for Corey Dickerson, but I think Suarez with another player to be named later, maybe kick in some cash. The Pirates always love that. I think that could be an expected deal for Corey Dickerson. Again, not asking for a lot there from the Phils, but you got to keep it in perspective. The Pirates, while we've seen the good that Corey Dickerson can provide, along with Melky Cabrera, overall, what value can they bring to a team right now? Melky, a bench guy, and Corey Dickerson, an unproven starter this season. So I think that's a fair return. Now we get to the 2 interesting ones. 2 guys that some Yinzers have been clamoring to be dealt for a while now, and that's Starling Marte and Gregory Polanco. I think either one of these guys, especially Marte, would be welcome in the Phillies organization. Polanco, I can't really get a read on what the Pirates would get back for him. I'd imagine it'd be higher than Dickerson, just because he's younger and he has a ton of team control until 2023 is how long you could hold on to him if you were to acquire his contract. He's expensive for the Pirates standards, but overall, the Phillies, what's another $8 million? That's just a drop in the bucket for their payroll, and I think they'd gladly take him on. However, that's a long-time commitment for Philly. who's clearly looking to win now, and I don't know if Gregory Polanco really provides them that much extra value. So I'm going to focus more on Starling Marte. Marte is someone that Philly would definitely love to have. He could be the center fielder that they desperately need right now. You put him in the middle of your outfield and you line him up with Jay Bruce and Bryce Harper on the corners, maybe Kingery as a late inning sub. They'd probably make another addition at the deadline or later on in the month of July. I think you have a pretty good lineup out there in the grass over at Citizens Bank Park. I believe that's what it's called. So Marte, I would think would be the top guy that Philly would want from this Pirates team. However, the Pirates have a little bit of leverage with this one. They don't necessarily need to be anxious to get rid of Starling Marte. He can provide you a good service moving forward. He's still under contract for a couple more years, and while he's been frustrating on the base paths, sometimes in the batter's box, sometimes in the field, he's still a pretty good major league player. He hasn't been the superstar we all hoped to see him become. However, he is pretty darn good, and while Reynolds would be exciting to see play every day in center field and have that team make that statement, the outfield of Marte, Reynolds, and Polanco doesn't sound too bad considering that Dickerson and Melky definitely aren't coming back after this season. At least that's what I believe. So you get rid of Marte, the Pirates are going to ask for a little bit more back. Definitely a top 5 prospect in my opinion, and that's where I believe they get Spencer Howard. This is a guy, Spencer Howard, number 5 prospect in the Phillies organization, someone that's not going to be able to help the Pirates now. And if the Pirates make a move like trading Starling Marte, they're not looking to win now. Probably not even next season, would be my guess. They're going to look to develop a little bit, maybe, dare I even say it, rebuild. So Spencer Howard is the number 5 overall prospect in their organization, 22 years old, and he's in Class High A right now. So give him a couple more years, but this is another guy that I think they could potentially develop into a really good starting pitcher, would be a very good investment for the club's starting pitcher depth, and he'd be coming up right around the time when some of the other guys like Jamison Tyone, Trevor Williams, Joe Musgrove are getting close to the end of their contract. So you have that new wave of pitching that they're going to need. This would basically, in my opinion, be a replacement of Shane Baz, one of the players they lost to Tampa Bay last year. And it wouldn't just be Spencer Howard who they would get back from Marte. I think that you could ask for major league help already. I know the Phillies bullpen has had some major struggles, but maybe ask for a left-handed reliever, a veteran, or you ask for one of the guys that I just named, Cole Irvin or Ranger Suarez. I think it'd be fair to get maybe Cole Irvin, Spencer Howard, and a player to be named later, maybe a major league player, somebody that they feel provides not much help, but maybe the Pirates could transform into a reclamation project success. They haven't had one of those in the bullpen at least this season, unless you count Nick Birdie for the half a month that he performed, but maybe a guy coming across to the better half of the state of Pennsylvania could work things out. So those are my ideas. The 3 guys that I have eyes on for the Pirates as potential key piece returns. If they were to deal one of the outfielders, Cole Irvin, Ranger Suarez, Spencer Howard. If you have any other ideas, I know these aren't the biggest names. I know this is a pretty explicit group, but the Phillies have been connected to the Pirates through rumors, and people have been talking about it throughout the city. So I thought I'd give you my thoughts. Be sure to follow us on all the social media platforms. Like, rate, subscribe. Thanks to Beaver County Auto for sponsoring this show, and we will see you next time here on the Bucco Show on Pittsburgh Sports Live.